Hello, class. Here is your part two of chapter 7, social media. Today, I am going to focus on hashtags and a few trending keywords related to social media marketing. Now, what is a hashtag? Hashtags are also known as the pound or number sign. In some other countries, we also call it the hash sign. If you've ever been on hold before with an automated phone menu, you've probably had to press the pound key for more information for something. They're used online to organize groups or ideas on platforms. It's a very easy way for brand representatives and marketing consultants to review the analytics related to different topics. It's also an easy way for an audience to sort content and find information related to something interesting to them. The first recorded hashtag was used in 2007 by Chris Messina on Twitter. And whenever he tweeted, "How do you feel about using the pound sign for groups?" as in hashtag barcamp message question mark, the people at Twitter actually thought this wasn't going to be a very popular idea. They thought it was going to be too technical for the average user and would fizzle out. Obviously, they were wrong. Now, using hashtags, you can use hashtags to label niche content. You can develop them based on common themes or interests of users. So if you like traveling, there are tons of traveling hashtags, including smaller groups based just on photos or even photos of the Caribbean or photos in Alaska. And these common themes or interests are grouped together in different user profiles and can help the both companies who analyze them and also the general algorithms used by social media sites to push content to new users and help them connect with other things they might like. It's also a great way to promote brand awareness. You're able to create brand related tags as well as maybe promote new products or develop that personal relationship with your target audience by reviewing information that is trending in their lives, things they find important. Now, one of the here's an example of a hashtag plant life. A lot of different types of plant life are connected using this hashtag. As you can see, these are two very different types of plant life connected using the same keywords. Now, that is one thing whenever you are reviewing hashtags, make sure the ones you're using actually are relevant. They might be relevant in your mind, but maybe the million other people who tagged it are tagging it for a different reason. Effective hashtags are simple, relevant, and easy to understand. You, generally speaking, do want to avoid anything that's too generic or specific. Sometimes a platform may lend itself toward a certain type of hashtag or certain types of phrasing whenever you create your comments or other information for your posts. Avoid hashtags requesting likes or follows. It's one thing to ask for it in a video or in another part of a comment. Whenever you start saying follow me or follow photos or something else, it's going to look more like spam. So avoid using it in the hashtag. If you're going to say like, click, or follow, do it in a different part of your post. Trending hashtags are can be monitored using different sites. They also have apps and different ways for businesses to follow and understand the online analytics of social media as well as ways hashtags are used whenever people are searching using Google or DuckDuckGo or something else. Now, one way to stay on top of a trend, especially for annual events, is to follow calendars. Look at the holidays. What are the awareness campaigns for this particular month? All of this stuff is more or less figured out by now, has been figured out by different people there. So you can pre-write all of your information and have these calendar-based hashtags ready to go, and you'll get more exposure the earlier you post it compared to your competitors. However, you do also need to make sure you're posting within a time frame where your target audience is going to be online. You can also look at school or local calendars. Whenever Festival International comes around, a lot of artists will use some kind of Festival International tag, especially if they're going to be at the festival, or same for Festival Acadien. If you're a vendor, you may want to say, hey, we're going to be here and here's our spot on the map, and you'll be able to do a hashtag Festival Acadien 2021, something like that. And of course, again, make sure that your hashtag is relevant to your brand, to your target audience, and also that you are using it appropriately whenever you use it. You don't want to just look at a trending board and pick one without seeing how these people are using it, because then you'll end up with a hashtag why I stayed and it's pizza, and the hashtag is actually about domestic abuse. Now, also avoid overusing hashtags. Depending on the platform, it'll change approximately how many you need to use whenever you're creating your post. So make sure you check your platform's usage. How are people looking at this online? How is the algorithm for that app using hashtags? Are they going to stop your post from reaching as many people because you put too many? Either way, it looks like spam. Now, develop branded hashtags. You can use a company name, like if there's a Cheerios sweepstakes, you would do hashtag Cheerios sweepstakes, or you can have a hashtag Whodat if you're looking at developing something related to the Saints or to Louisiana football. You could also do a hashtag Go Cajuns if you want to focus more on a college group who attend sports. And of course, if you have any sort of like flash sales or products, you want to create a hashtag for that. You'll see it a lot with companies like Victoria's Secret or with Target. I think they do quite a few of them as well. Social relevance, of course, is important. You want to make sure you're fitting your message. So not only the message you wrote, but the hashtags you're using to the audience you target and to the platform you're using. You're not going to have the same hashtags on LinkedIn that you'll have on TikTok. You also want to check out related hashtags. They have options on Instagram and Facebook and a few other platforms too, where you can say, okay, I'm looking for a hashtag travel. And then it'll say, oh, have you also checked out the tourism hashtag or the travel Acadiana hashtag? So check out what's related to your brand, what kind of semi broad strokes you can use to connect your branded hashtags with your audience on any given platform. Now on Twitter itself actually recommends only using 1 or 2 hashtags per post. They suggest using the hashtags either within your writing to highlight keywords, You can also use them to provide context if you're posting a photo or a video on your site. So it's a great way for you to offer context. One that happens a lot is for NASA. They'll take telescope photos or maybe have little emojis related to their next launch or a video they're about to share. And then they'll include hashtags with it to help you understand why they're posting this picture or this video right now. Facebook, usually you want to stick to one or two. You can monitor different hashtags using the URL facebook.com/hashtag / and then write the name of the hashtag you're following in the blank. And it'll pull up all the posts happening right now on Facebook and heading out to everyone's feed related to that hashtag. There's also Instagram, of course, and they allow up to 30 hashtags per post. However, that is well above the recommended 5 or 10. Any more than 5 or 10, and it tends to look really cluttered and possibly like spam. So whenever you're including your hashtags on Instagram, you want to include them either as the first comment under your caption, or you want to include it after your photo caption. This will give you a cleaner design and it'll make it a lot easier for people to interact with the actual content you posted instead of focusing on all of the hashtags that you added. Pinterest, there's some debate about whether or not to even use hashtags. They started allowing them in 2017, and unfortunately, spammers started including them about 20 per post for everything. So depending on what you're doing, maybe check and see if there are any relevant hashtags being used right now. If you don't see any, maybe you can opt to not use them and instead focus on search engine optimization by including relevant words in your caption so people understand, oh yeah, this is a 2021 bathroom remodel design. And do it that way instead. If you do include them, hashtags are also searchable and you have a lot of evergreen ideas available on Pinterest. It's one of those great things about photo-based platforms, especially if you're a designer or someone. You can go on there and you might make a post and it'll get, 100 views or retweets or something. But whenever but a year from now, you might still have people looking at it and buying products based on this picture you posted a year ago. TikTok, about 4 or 5 hashtags are recommended. You want to have the first ones listed related to your brand and then have your broader trending topics after. So, or going from small to large as far as your scope of your hashtags whenever you're posting them. That is a good general rule for most websites or social media groups. You want to make sure that you're organizing your hashtags in a certain way, usually from the more niche community to the broader topics as you write them. Also look on LinkedIn. Whenever you post on LinkedIn, of course, you're looking at more professional tags. Use only 1 or 2. If you have more than 5, LinkedIn is going to mark it as spam. And I believe I saw they said your rate goes down about 65%. So yeah, definitely make sure you're only using 1 or 2 whenever you go on LinkedIn. And of course, you want to have that more professional tone on there as well. And YouTube, 2 or 3 hashtags in the title or the description. Personally, I feel like having them after your description is a lot better. It looks clean, just like with Instagram. Whenever I see them in the title, for me personally, I don't care for it, but it is one of the recommendations made by social media marketers. Also, if you have more than 15 hashtags, it will be blocked and flagged as spam on YouTube. So be careful whenever you're posting. You don't want to accidentally end up in someone's spam box. Now, a few trendy terms to review. Return on investment, ROI, is seen quite a bit when you're talking about social media marketing or just marketing in general. We're looking at understanding whether or not you're spending your money in the right place. So, return on investment is your net benefits divided by your total cost. So, if you're spending $1,000 on something, but you're only getting $500 worth of return, then obviously there's a problem, and we need to either adjust the amount of money you're spending or adjust the way you're spending it or how you're spending your time. Now, an example, of course, is with pay-per-click advertising. You're able to see more easily than, let's say, whenever you have a mixed campaign with people who are doing other web advertisements or something in the real world, where you can actually look at it and see whether or not people are following these clicks. Are they going to your site? And if you're a business who's selling something, are people actually buying stuff after they follow your advertisement, after they see your advertisement even? Are they going to your site and purchasing these items? Another way to calculate your return on investment, of course, if you are a small business owner, you're probably looking at doing quote unquote free marketing calculations. So, how much time are you personally spending on Instagram? Are you spending 2 hours a day on it? Well, if your 2 hours is worth $40 because you know you're able to make $40 worth of product per, let's say you make $40 an hour of product, but you're using 2 hours of your day to create the and work on your Instagram profile, posting, commenting, dealing with customer service stuff on there. You have a way to calculate whether or not your net benefits, so the benefits you're getting from spending those 2 hours divided by the total cost of your time. So it would be about $80. Is it worth $80 every day for you to take care of this stuff on Instagram or whatever platform you're using? Social media return on investment has is a little broad sometimes, and it can be a little hard to understand whether or not you're really getting a return on the money and the time you're putting into it. So the main way to start calculating it is to define your objectives. You want to what are you trying to do? Are you trying to improve business conversations with other organizations where you work or with other parts of your target audience? Do you want to focus on your customer experience? Do you want to go through it and see how many people are happy with what they're getting, or are they upset because that pumpkin spice latte tastes like a candle? You want to go and see if you're you want to have a clear objective and understand what it is you're trying to meet before you go in and start using social media for 2 or 3 hours a day and you have no idea whether or not it's actually helping anything. A great example is Starbucks actually has multiple Twitter accounts, and one of them is specifically focused on customer service. So if you have a great time or a terrible time, you can tweet the Starbucks customer service account and they will respond to whatever information you give them. Of course, Whenever you're setting goals and defining your objectives for social media marketing, you need to set SMART, SMART goals. It's something mentioned in a lot of self-help groups and books. What you're doing is you're defining goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So your specific goal, you need to have a focus. If you don't have a focus, then you'll never know if you ever met your goal or not. So in the case of the Starbucks customer service account, their specific focus might be, okay, I need to specifically deal with customer service. Super. But how much of it do you need to do? What is your measurement to say this is good or this is not good? So if you want to look at an hourly rate of interaction, are you going to say, oh, I only spoke with 10 people today? Well, for Starbucks, that's probably terrible. So you want to define your goal both in what it is you're doing and also how much of it do you need to do. Also, you want to make sure that the goal you set is attainable. Is it something you can manage to do in the time you're given? So if I say I need to speak to 1,000 people online today, well, if you're working in a small business, that is probably an unattainable goal because you don't have enough time to do that and run the other parts of your business. So make sure whatever goals you set are something that you can handle in the time given and that you define reasonable measurements and amounts of time to do it. You also want it to be relevant to your business. If you're a store where you are selling a certain amount of product online, maybe you want to make sure that you're actually what you're doing is pushing sales instead of just pushing people to copy pictures that you posted all the time. So make sure whatever you're doing on social media, it has a relevant impact to your business goals. You also want to make sure that you're acting in a timely manner. If you had a goal last year, it might not be your goal this year. You might have already completed that goal, and now you need to look forward at the next one. So figure out what you need in this particular moment in time. You can also track social media metrics. You can track them and figure out which ones are related to your business objectives. So make sure that they're relevant. It's great that we have all this data, but some of it honestly doesn't help certain businesses. It really isn't relevant to whatever their goals are. So that's where you refer back to your SMART goals and make sure that you're relating it appropriately. You also want to figure out how your target audience reacts after exposure to your particular campaign. Are you getting those people in the store if you have a physical store, or are they going to your online shop and actually buying things, or are they just going on there for a second and then never coming back? Do you need to work on getting repeat business? So you can track how your social media interactions are helping or hurting your target audience. You also, of course, can see what works or what doesn't. And also, you want to make sure that you are working within your sales cycle. So just because a month has gone by since you started a campaign, if you have a 3-month sales cycle, then it doesn't matter that it's only been a month and you aren't seeing anything. You need to wait until the start of the next business period to really see whether or not what you did impacted your business in a positive or negative way. Bottom line, of course, is always cost versus effect. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Did you actually get enough out of this to make whatever your investment was worth it? Do you need to continue spending those 2 hours every day on social media, or are those 2 hours wasted and you should just stick to flyers and spend an hour downtown drumming up business. It really depends on all of your metrics and your goals. You'll also see search engine optimization as well as search engine marketing. Whenever you look at search engine optimization, it's usually built on keywords or links between your business and the type of business you have, or between your target audience and your business. You'll also end up a little higher, usually in a search engine result list if you have hashtags. Also, it just honestly depends on the search algorithms, how they're being used. One of the issues right now is there are some changes in the search algorithms. So you do need to go ahead and check, make sure whatever you're doing is relevant to the places where people in your target demographic are searching. You also want to use search engine marketing, which is more of a pay-per-click. It's whenever you'll see those promoted groups or ads on Google or on another search engine. A lot of times search engine marketing will also include an element of search engine optimization, but both of those are needed to develop a web presence, especially for a beginning business. There's also social media monitoring and social listening. Social media monitoring primarily works on the metrics. What are the numbers? Are your competitors up 100 mentions today? Or are you noticing any new trends in the industry where you have a trending hashtag that's coming up related to flooring? Like all of a sudden people want vinyl flooring instead of wood. Or are there some brand mentions? Are your brand mentions up? Are they down? Are your competitors up? What's going on with them to make them move up or down? You also want to view any, of course, relevant hashtags and see if there's something in there that's trending. Maybe you want to focus a little more on that whenever you develop your social media posts. Also, social listening is going to look at the mood behind the data. So this social media sentiment, you're looking at how your customers are engaging, not just how much, but what are they focusing on? Are they talking about your competitor? For example, if you're Southwest Airlines, you're in the news and all over social media right now. However, they are because they had so many flight issues recently. So a way to build off of that, for example, if you're Delta, you can talk about how all your stuff's on time and you use a hub in order to move your planes and your people around, and you didn't have any air traffic issues or whatever it is that's really going on with their flight attendants and their pilots and everyone else. So you can track competitors and also see if there are any ways to incorporate the current relevant hashtags or any trending items into your brand and make sure that it's still relevant to your product and to your target audience. You can also look for influencers. If you see that there's a new person out there who's been really big on YouTube because of their promotion of different face creams or something, you can say, hey, I want you to test out this new face cream for us. Please do a review. And it's a way for you to kind of vary your social media advertising. Instead of it only coming from your account, you can use influencers or other people who are testing other products to say, hey, try our stuff, show people how great this is, and we'll compensate you in some way. Now, there's also something called A/B testing or split testing. What it is you're developing real world research using social media posting. There are tons of different things you can change about a post, from the font to your logo color, or if you, let's say you're in the entertainment business and you want to try out two different types of movie trailers, you'll see that one of them is working much better than the other. And then maybe the next time you have a movie release, you'll cut your trailer to follow the style of this other, of the one that did better, and maybe include a variation of that one in it. So you're able to have this real world interaction, see how many people like or follow something, and view the differences in your two ideas and see what's working and what isn't working. Now, of course, your posting language is going to change in your A/B testing. You're able to see how long a post needs to be, or maybe if a certain style of post, something that's more casual, or maybe if you use an active voice instead of a passive voice in your writing. All of those things can change how a post is received. This can also mean using emojis or not using punctuation. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed whenever you send or receive text, usually if it's a statement, you aren't going to add that period at the end. You're going to leave it off because otherwise people think you're mad about something. And it's just one of those little quirks of writing that's developed over the years of people texting to each other. You might also consider using 2 exclamation points instead of 1, or maybe you only want to use emojis because the fire and rocket emojis together made this other post work a lot better than whenever you tried to explain them ahead of time. Whatever you do need to remain consistent. So you're developing a brand identity and making sure that you follow more or less the same style of thinking on your platform within your posts. So after you have that split testing, or you try a post and it's really successful, if you do it a certain way on Pinterest, then you can make sure that everything is working well and you want to continue in that brand idea. You can also change, of course, your brand identity. A lot of places do rebrand somewhat regularly. One famous example, of course, is for Domino's. They recognized that their product was not doing well and that it became synonymous with cheap pizza. So they launched an entire campaign around the idea of, hey, we heard you. We're changing ourselves to meet your needs. So whenever you develop your idea, whether you keep it the same for a while or you need to rebrand and start over, make sure you're following the same path as you're creating your brand identity. Okay, and a quick note about your grades. I know a few of you are probably a little concerned. I wanted to make sure that you all know I am offering the opportunity to rewrite one writing project. It's going to be due at the end of the semester. It can include assignments that you maybe didn't turn in on time. However, of course, I can't include the final exam assignment in that, pop quizzes, chapter quizzes, or the AP quizzes. So this is mainly for your writing projects. If there's something where you feel like you just really messed up and you can do better, go ahead, review the recommendations I made, apply them, and you can resubmit it at the end of the semester, and I'll be able to regrade it for you and hopefully improve your grade. Also, a review for your homework. We do have the chapter 7 quiz due Sunday. Today's Wednesday. On Friday, there will be another lecture. And then, of course, make sure that you do the Friday online attendance. Please log in, click the button. You'll get your point. It'll be great. Okay, I will speak to you guys on Friday.